Hello, welcome back. My name is Charlie, and today I want to talk to you about 5 series that I just can't bring myself to start. I got a little bit of a late start to reading, specifically fantasy. I've only been doing it for a few years, and I've tackled a lot of the big names, series authors, things like that. But there are some that I can't bring myself to read. Each one of these series intimidates me for a different reason, and I really want to get over that. I want to get over this hump, this barrier that I've put up for myself for each of these, and I need your help to do that. So I'm going to walk you through why I haven't read these, and I'm hoping that somebody out there can convince me to just pick these up or to ignore them. That'd be great. That would save me a lot of time. A lot of these are very big series in one way or the other. Some of them massive in scale and some of them massive in legacy. And I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with probably the biggest sin of mine, which is that I have not yet read J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, or whatever that series is called. Is it even called that? It's not a series, really. It's kind of one book broken up into 3. You know what I'm talking about. The Lord of the Rings. You've heard of it, right? The Fellowship of the Ring, the other 2 books that have titles. The fact that I have not read this series makes me feel like such a fraud sometimes. I feel like I hear people talking about it constantly. Everybody's talking about how this is just like, J.R.R. Tolkien is the grandfather of all fantasy. And I believe that. I mean, he is, right? He's kind of paved the way for what we have today, right? In a way. Now, obviously, fantasy has been a thing forever, long before Tolkien existed, probably before books existed. People were telling stories that would fall under the umbrella of what we refer to as fantasy today. But Tolkien really stood out. I think it's because he developed a whole world, like a language and cultures. He really went deeper than I think had been done, at least to the scale that he did it. Especially considering that these books aren't really that big, or I guess this book, it's kind of one book in 3 sections. Anyway, I'm not going into that. I haven't read it. I haven't read this series. And I should. I feel like I should. I feel like I should want to read it too. But I don't know that I have any drive to do it. And you know what part of it is? The movies are so good. They're so good. I don't think I've found anybody that says that these film adaptations are not good, or that they don't hold up to the book. I don't even know that I can think of people that say that the books are better than the film adaptations. The movies are really good. They were really well done. I can't say how true to the books they were, because again, I haven't read them. But I don't really care, because the movies just nailed it. And I do think that the existence of these movies has to be at least part of why I haven't done this, why I haven't picked up the series. Now, obviously, the books must be good if they have amassed such a massive fandom, that they've sprung up this entire genre, essentially, of modern day fantasy, at least. They laid out the roadmap. What's the word? They have led the way for the books that we read today, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. But I also have a fear that if I read these books and I hate them, that I'll feel even worse about myself than I do now, having not read them. Does that make any sense? I'm scared that I'm just not gonna like them. I really, from everything that I've heard about them, I just don't think that they're gonna be for me. It just doesn't sound very exciting in the format of a book. Words on a page. I don't know why. I just feel like it'll be boring. I feel like it is a lot of walking. It's probably a lot of history about different cultures, which is probably very cool, but it doesn't sound like it's written in a very fun way. It sounds like it's kind of overly descriptive and boring. I don't know if that's fair, but I don't know. I've heard enough about it that I feel like I don't feel drawn to it. I should probably try it though. I probably should, but I don't like that. I don't like that I feel like I have to, or that I should do that, or that I can't call myself a fantasy reader because I haven't read Tolkien at all. I feel like that feels icky to me, and it does not make me want to pick it up. And maybe it's supposed to, but it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. Anyway, they're not very long books, and I think The Hobbit is YA, right? So I don't think that it will actually be all that complex or complicated to read. So I should just do it, right? Like there's no harm in picking it up and then deciding that it's not for me and quitting. But it feels like there is harm. It feels like there is harm, especially now that I have this channel. I feel like if I start reading it and I talk to you about it and then I decide to DNF it, people are gonna just destroy me. So I don't know. If you can all promise not to bully me off the internet for not liking it, then maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe that relieves some of the pressure. I don't know. Anyway, next series. I've also never read anything by Stephen King. Stephen King, who has almost 70 published books. I've read 0 of them. And similar to Token, I feel like I should. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to read Stephen King. And honestly, Stephen King stuff, a lot of it does sound like something that I would like. But the problem with Stephen King is, like I said, he's written almost 70 books. I have no idea where to start, and I've asked several times here on the channel in various videos, and I've gotten a lot of responses, but they're all different. Most of you tell me to start at a different book, and I know what that means, right? I'm not stupid. I know that if everybody's telling me to start at a different book, that must mean that it doesn't matter where you start, but I can't handle that. I feel like I can't handle the fact that I can just pick up a book and read it. I feel like there's supposed to be an order, that somebody's supposed to be able to tell me where to start. People have said The Shining, people have said The Stand, people have said It, which that book alone is so intimidating. It's massive, and then there's that one scene at the end that people say will just like ruin your life. Not ruin your life, but it's just horrible, and it doesn't need to be a thing that was ever written. It just, I don't know. It feels messy. I like the concept of Stephen King's books. You know, I've heard complaints about the endings, like he doesn't know how to end a book, is what people say often. But I don't think that bothers me. Like I've read a lot of books that I love that I don't care about the ending, but it doesn't really matter. So I don't think that bothers me. I like how he kind of connects every or almost every book in some way. Like there's a Stephen King universe, it sounds like, and a lot of the books kind of tie into each other in weird little Easter egg type ways. I think that's really cool. I think that's really fun and a really rewarding experience for people who are like, you know, trying to read his entire collection of books. I think that's neat. I love that stuff, right? That's what makes reading Sanderson, or it's part of what makes reading Brandon Sanderson's books really fun, is those little Easter eggs. And if that's in there, that's really fun. That might just be in like the Dark Tower. Like the Dark Tower has things from other books. I'm not really sure exactly how it works because again, I haven't read any of it, but it sounds cool. That all sounds good. I think with him, it's truly just about the sheer number of books. I do know myself, and I know that if I am liking his stuff, I'm going to want to read all of them, and that's like a lifelong mission, which is scary to me. I said last year was going to be the year that I started, and there were several moments where I was going to pick it up. You know, I was going to pick up Pet Sematary in October. I was going to pick up various things at various different points, and I backed out at the last second every single time. I don't know, maybe 2026 will be my year. Or maybe it'll be the year that I finally read A Song of Ice and Fire. This series I did try to get into once, actually. I read the first few chapters of Game of Thrones like years ago when I was in college, and I wasn't really in the right headspace for it. I wasn't really a reader at that time. I mean, I was reading some books, but not well, and I wasn't doing it often, and these are big books, or they're not really that big, right? Like Game of Thrones itself is not really a massive book, but they're dense. They're a little bit dense, right? I think that's a fair thing to say. The writing is very nice, like it's very well done, obviously, but it is dense, and there are a lot of characters, a lot of different POVs, and I was not accustomed to that when I did start reading it. So that really kind of threw me off, just because I wasn't reading fantasy at that time, and that was, I don't know, that was just new for me, and I couldn't handle it. Now I feel like I could do it. I feel like I could handle that. But I have also seen the show, right? And it's similar to how I feel about The Lord of the Rings, except that the show didn't stay good all the way through. But those first several seasons of A Game of Thrones, the TV show, were phenomenal. The ending, again, it lost everybody, but that's okay. Having watched the show, I do feel like some of the plot points in these books are kind of spoiled for me. So I feel like I would see a lot of the big events coming, and I can't decide if that feels spoilery to me or if it would be fun. And it feels different for this series, A Song of Ice and Fire, compared to something like The Lord of the Rings, where The Lord of the Rings is 3 relatively short books and there are 3 movies, right? The movies are long if you watch the extended version, but it's still a lot less time than the Song of Ice and Fire, like a Game of Thrones. I mean, the TV show is very long. There's a lot of seasons, and the episodes are all at like an hour-ish, right? Some longer, and so I feel like there's probably less that they cut out for the show of Game of Thrones than there was cut out for The Lord of the Rings. Does that make any sense? I feel like the Lord of the Rings books probably have a lot more in them that the movies didn't cover, but that the show for A Game of Thrones has probably more of what was covered in A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't know if that is justified, if that's true, but that's what my brain has developed. I do own all of these books. I bought this last year because I did think I was going to start the series last year, and they had these really cool covers on the paperbacks, and I couldn't resist. So I got the whole series, but yeah, I haven't picked it up yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I will this year. Maybe I will next year. I don't know. I will tell you though, the fact that it's unfinished does not bother me at all. I know that's like a lot of people rag on this series for that. I don't think I care about that. Like I said when I was talking about Stephen King, I don't care about a bad ending, and I really don't think that I care if there is no ending. Maybe I should care about that. Maybe I would care about that for this. If I really am loving it, I'll like want to see it all tied up. But I really don't think so. So that part at least doesn't bother me. Another series that I have not started, and this one I think people will understand the most out of the rest of these on this list, is Malazan, or like the Book of the Fallen, I guess, is I think the name of like the overarching series, because I think this is made up of multiple different series. At least that's my understanding. Or maybe I had that the other way around. Maybe Malazan is the overarching, and the Book of the Fallen is this first series. Anyway, whichever it is, I haven't read it. But this one, I think people understand. This series is notoriously complicated. Complicated in terms of just like what's happening, like the world itself. I believe the authors kind of don't hold your hand much. They kind of throw you in and just hope that you understand it. And I think from what I can tell, it might take you a couple books before you're really hooked in. But the books are pretty big and pretty dense and pretty complicated, and so that's a lot of work. And I've heard also that you really don't want to do the audiobooks because you're going to miss a lot if you do audio versus eyeball read, which I don't really know that I understand that or that I believe that, because I feel like I don't know. I feel like that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why that would matter. There are like studies that say that you retain the same amount audio versus like eyeball reading something, but people say it consistently about this series. So maybe it's just that complicated. Maybe it's easier to flip back in a physical book, to reference something that you've passed than it is on audio. I would believe that maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure, but it's intimidating. I just don't know. Am I smart enough? Can I handle this series? But I'm willing to try. Just not yet. I did mention that A Song of Ice and Fire has like a lot of characters, and that was like intimidating for me at the time when I read it, a little bit of it in college. But I think that A Song of Ice and Fire actually only has like 12 POVs that you're following, whereas Malazan, I believe the entire series has like close to 500 POVs. I could be way off, but I feel like I remember somebody saying that. So, that's definitely intimidating. I have a terrible memory, so I feel like if these are all recurring characters, I'm in no way going to be able to keep track of that. So I do believe people when they say these are complicated, and it does make me feel like I would struggle with them. Again, I do want to give it a shot, but I don't know. I can't decide if I'll be able to handle it. And the final series on this list that I want to talk about is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan and, I guess, Brandon Sanderson at the end for the final few books. Now, the main reason that I haven't picked this series up, honestly, is you guys. You all hate these books. All of you that say this is your favorite series of all time are constantly complaining about it. I feel like every time I hear people talk about this series, they start by saying that it's the best fantasy series of all time, their absolute favorite, but then they'll follow that up with a myriad of complaints about the series, and specifically about like the slog, and the slog being this chunk of books in the middle of the series that they make sound so bad. They make it sound like it's so hard to make it through these books. But I can't believe that is true. I don't believe you, but I do though. It works, right? It scared me off for this long, but I can't imagine that a series would be this big if those books are really that bad, unless the other books are really that good. My basic understanding of the slog at this point, based on mostly watching Sam Harrison read through this series like last year, my understanding is that this slog was probably way worse when the books were being written, when they were being released, and you were reading them, like keeping up with the series in real time. And that I do believe. I believe that if you're reading a book and it's a 5-star book, and then you read the next one and it's a 3-star book, and then you read another one and it's another 3-star book, and then you get another one and maybe it's a 2.5, and then eventually you get back to a 5-star book, I could see that being a problem if there are like a year, 2 years, maybe more between entries. So maybe that's why the slog is like something that everybody talks about, because it like hurt a lot of people over the course of years. But I think reading it now when they're all out and I can access them all like back to back to back if I wanted, I think it wouldn't be so bad. The books are pretty big, but I've read bigger, and the series itself is long, but I've completed longer series, right? I think it's 14 books. That's a lot. It's a big commitment, but I really do think that the reason that I've been intimidated by this one for so long is the fans and specifically that slog that everybody likes to talk about. The audiobooks are supposed to be tremendous, really, really, really good, especially these Rosamund Pike ones that I don't think they've finished the whole series, and I don't know if they're going to now that they've canceled the show, but I've heard she does a really good job. And so when I pick this up, it will be that. It will be the audiobooks with Rosamund Pike narrating, at least as long as I'm able to listen to her do it. Yeah, excited about that. And this one was finished by Brandon Sanderson. Like the last couple of books after Robert Jordan passed away, unfortunately, Brandon Sanderson was able to like carry the torch and finish the series for him, which that's appealing to me because I have read a lot of Brandon Sanderson and I like the way Brandon Sanderson writes, and I've heard he did a really good job. He was faithful to the series and he really stuck the landing. Out of all the series on this list, this one is the one that I am going to be tackling the soonest because I'm going to be reading book 1 of The Wheel of Time next month. I'm committed to it, and I'm going to try to read at least one entry of The Wheel of Time every quarter for this year, which is a goal that I had set for myself in a previous video, so you may have already heard me say that, but I'm saying it again, I'm committing to it. I have at least one friend that wants to do that with me and follow me along on that journey. So if you're also interested, let me know, because I can set up some sort of space for us to read through this series slowly together, kind of just like quarterly buddy reads of The Wheel of Time. I think that could be fun. Let me know if you're interested. If you've read any or all of the series on this list, please let me know your thoughts. I need your honest opinions on these series. Are there any that I should throw away? Are there any that I should make the highest priority? Really, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I will at least be starting The Wheel of Time this year, but maybe somebody can convince me to pick up another one of these series this year as well. We'll see. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye.